What's the worst session experience y'all had? I mean, we don't gotta get too many details.
I don't know we can see, right. I don't know we can say too many details because, we did some crazy sessions. But,
It's your boy Shizzy Bando here, the Bando baby, the big hustler, you know the vibe. I'm here with a regular episode we going on today. You feel me? We just chilling. I'm here with some of the guys from our production team, Apex Hustler Media. You feel me? They doing their own thing on our side and shit like that. We got Jesus Music, Fight Back, you feel me? Producer Collective, A&R Collective. You know what I'm saying? Yo on Music. Also a artist of Apex Hustler Media as well as co-founder of Orion Dreams Entertainment. You feel me? So, we here, we vibing. I'm here with my guys. And today, we are going over why does the music industry fear versatility? Or why is versatility frowned upon in the music industry? You feel me? So, we just getting this opinion, you feel me, from my boys who have been in situations of plethoras of the upper echelon. You feel me? Just a couple credits from our son Jesus. You feel me? He has got placements with artists such as Bianca, a couple other, you feel me, people on the way I can't really speak on yet, you feel me? But he also has produced for the Crew League. He also has produced for Street Fighter 6. You feel me? His name is on the soundtrack. Y'all can check the credentials if you don't believe me. Feel me? My son Juan, he has engineered for Post Malone. Future has worked along the lines of songwriters, people that work with Chris Brown, Beyonce. Yeah, you feel me? So we're just getting an in-depth conversation on the production side of things and to get a deeper understanding of, as I say, we're Indians industry. So obviously we're gonna start with you, Juan.
Yes, sir.
Let you take it from top of the question.
So with the whole versatility thing, I feel like with today's industry and the way that everything's run, through social media and all these different platforms, I feel like they rather play safe. There's no more building an artist anymore. It's because everything's so in your face that that whole mysterious vibe to it, or a lot more questions raise up when it comes to building an artist organically. So I feel like the industry has tried to skip that step and try to just find things that are already trending to then put more marketing into that, and that leaves out room for all of the people who are trying to be versatile and try new things. It's almost from a business ass point, it's they're trying to find a proven system.
No, it's just not really.
I feel like it's not really it could never be a proven system for real.
Yeah.
Of course, you got money, you got backing,
right.
It's always gonna do something. Like you said, it gotta be more of a foundation for the artist, but the artist gotta know that too. You feel me? I feel like it's a different day and age in music to where people see something they like and they're I'm gonna do that.
Right.
Do you feel like that the record labels kind of feel like they can't build an artist that is versatile?
Well, I feel like for most artists, especially nowadays, the versatility usually comes after. The foundation is usually built. We kind of have a general idea of their sound and what they like to get on and the kind of direction they usually go in, and then after maybe the first two foundational albums or bodies of work, they kind of venture off and do more versatility to bring in something new into what they already do. But as for somebody who's already trying something versatile off the jump, it's a little harder because they don't have something to relate to yet, or something to feel where understanding of like who that artist is. You know?
Okay. But how important do you feel like it is to relate to your fans compared to keeping what's considered artist integrity type shit?
I mean, relating to fans is like a big part of it because you want your fans to feel connected and feel like they're part of your community. But there's also that the originality aspect of it where it's like you want to be original enough so that they feel like you're not just copying somebody else. But I feel like nowadays, much more nowadays, it's like people seem to look for stuff that they're already familiar with,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what makes it harder for people who are coming off the jump, like Versatile, like to just come in off the gate like that, But for some people, it works, It's just it's a matter. I feel like sometimes with the marketing way or like the way they promote their stuff, like that could come in the factor of like what beats those odds.
Okay.
You gotta build your community. I feel like that's the most important thing, back to what you were saying. Because, like, as far as, like, the whole, like, relating, it's like, the music to me should always be, like, the first thing.
Right.
Because whoever relates to that, like, they're gonna, like, fuck with you forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what you make.
Yeah, that's true.
To me.
Yeah, because I mean, the music shit is an opinion-based sport, as Drake calls it. So it's like that's kind of this is us as artists, us as creators. We kind of just always have to deal with. But what I would say is like what should be the primary focus for artists coming out the gate, like finding their own sound. Should community be their first thing? Are they worried about creating a story versus relating to their fans?
But I feel like that's kind of how you relate to your fans. Because when you create that story off the rip, I feel like the main objective of like out the gate should be have something substantial that it's a great representation of you, and then take the time to tell the story so that the community can start to evolve and build and people can connect with you, because we all know people love a good story as far as like who a person is, what background they come from, what kind of like story they're telling of their own life, and they can, connect to that and like interpret it and like, relate to it and make it their own and within their own story. But it usually starts off with a story or like some sort of like personality coming out that people are gravitating towards. And a lot of personalities can be very infectious, so I feel like that is the main key for like an artist coming out the gate, is like just finding a way to connect with the community and like building your community through your own story and personality.
Okay. Do you feel like a artist's image needs to match their sound?
I mean, that's been more lenient nowadays, right? I feel like it hasn't been so like. It depends a lot too with the genre of the music, I feel like more like urban stuff, it matters a little bit more. Like maybe say like the drill hip hop scene, that kind of like matters a little more, like with the image, matching the sound and like being believable, But with other genres, it's a little bit more of a gray area, like with R&B and all that stuff, because you have a lot of people coming out that kind of look different, but they're like tapping into that, genre that like we already know has been evolving for so long.
With the believability, I feel like that's why sometimes it might be hard to believe somebody, because everything obviously, everything is really about appearance and how it looks.
Yeah.
Whether it should or shouldn't be. But when you're really something, it's not really hard to like show people that. So it's like, if you see like a Brent Fire video or some shit, and you see like how you dress or how you move or whatever, you go to a show and you're like, oh, he's really like that.
Yeah,
it just clicks.
It does.
Makes sense.
It does.
So a lot of times when it's hard for people to be believable, it's because they're not really like, it's something that's missing that you're not telling us.
Right.
Okay. Alright, so quick little sidebar. Fucking, how do you feel about, let's see, this might get a little controversial. how do you feel about musicians or creatives in the music industry in general using their platforms for political or social activism? Do you feel like that's something they should do? Is this something they're obligated to do? Or is this just the whole we're all human, we do what we want kind of situation?
Right.
I would definitely say it's bold for me, like, because I'm not gonna say it's what you're supposed to do, but once you get to a certain level, it's like certain things. Like if you see something that you feel like you can help, just by saying something, you can actually like have a change. Like why not? You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's bothering you.
Mm-hmm.
But I would definitely really wanna.
So does that make like that? Does that make it an obligation though? Like due to the fact that they have the power to have the kind of platform that's on such a wide scale, like their voices is considered to matter more than the average on a celebrity level.
Right.
I mean, like it doesn't necessarily have to be a musician. Like
it depends on the person. I feel like, and it depends to like the kind of person that person is. You know, I feel like some people aren't gonna step out of character and do something like that because the only time they do kind of speak up is in relevance to whatever they have going on.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are people who are like super involved in social issues that feel the need to speak up, and that's great, you know. But I don't want to feel like I would condemn somebody for not speaking up, because at the end of the day, like regular people do that, you know, aside from the celebrities. So it's kind of something that we're kind of like used to already, where it's like if somebody speaks up, all right, cool, like, and we like digest that information. But if people don't speak up, it's not like necessarily like frowned upon, even though like maybe like on a humane level, like probably like should or should not, like depending on the person how they feel about it. But I wouldn't necessarily like condemn somebody for like not speaking up.
And you want the wrong person to just start saying up the same shit either.
Yeah, that's true.
personally, I'd rather stay out of situations that I don't personally believe in. So you feel me? So that's me on a personal note. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of feel like that extends to the people in a lot of situations. Like if you don't personally, because it feels disingenuous.
Yeah.
It feels like you're not really using your platform for nothing more than just a couple clicks and you click in your fans. You're not really standing for something. You just join it up with whatever's trending per se. Same shit.
It should gotta be an obligation to you for it to really be.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of trends, right? What you feel like is the most important trending social media platform that indie artists needs to be focusing on in order to sort of like keep up with the industry level?
Is it still TikTok? I would say it's still TikTok, especially if they just took all the music off.
Oh yeah, right.
It's like a free space out.
Yeah, more opportunity for like people to use like independent artists' music for their like sounds and their videos. But also too with I feel like a lot of the skits that are going on feel to be like a way to connect to like people, because a big thing on social media is comedy, right? Like we all see things that make us laugh, we share, and that's like a really like easy way to get people to like start like buzzing and talking about things. So when people kind of like, one thing I've noticed is with up and coming like indie artists, they've been doing skits to like kind of tie into their music, but also like give a glimpse into their own personality, and I feel like I've seen that work the best. You know, in a way, I feel like that's something people should focus on or find their own way to do, where like, you know, they reveal more of their personality so people can care about your music and care about who you are. Because at the end of the day, like, that's the key ingredient, you know, getting them to care about like what's going on.
So what about the artists that like aren't naturally funny? Because usually skits is usually based in like social media comedy, right?
Right.
So what should the artist that doesn't have that natural laugh factor, what do they do?
I mean, I feel like, you know, you connect with people that you feel like do, or, you know, you kind of outsource, you know, whatever you can't provide as an artist, I feel like it's always great to outsource, because at the end of the day, all the best things that happen are in collaboration. You know, it's like very rare that you find something that's like gold and it's like one person behind it. You know, so I feel like that would be the gateway to like just exploring different options for yourself. You know, if there's things that you don't really feel comfortable with, definitely outsourcing. And it goes the same way with promoting your music, right? Like you can get TikTok people or certain influencers to do videos to your songs, post them, and that'll be a great way of engaging an audience that you may not have the reach to, but you can gain the reach by, you know, having them do a video or like maybe paying for like, you know, whatever it may be, you know. But I think that's something.
You always gotta invest in yourself.
Yeah. At the end of the day,
that's
like
how people think it's money when it's really like relationships and connections and shit.
So what does it take? Like what does it take like outside of money? Outside of the relationship? You know?
The music.
The music.
Well, to me,
Yeah.
I'm always gonna be that guy.
But it really is, because you could put money behind like bad music and it'll still do bad. Like regardless, at the end of the day, like
I'm not understanding the whole like state of music is shit comment for real. Like,
is shit?
Like the state of it,
the thing is shit. Like
that's like the general stigma of like what's going on with music and today. Like everything sounds the same. This, that, and the third. I feel like truthfully, it's more along the lines. People like what's it's an old hood saying. Most niggas can't see past their next blunt, right?
Right.
9 times out of 10, a lot of times people can't see past what's put in front of them. Type shit. So I feel like mainly what it is that the main cash flow is the kind of music that people are calling generic. Like your sound is the same and shit. Like that's what's being pushed. It doesn't mean that that's what's out. You feel me? There's no way you're gonna sit there and tell me it's 8 billion people on this planet and everybody sounds exactly the same. You feel me? Like,
but I feel like it also it puts a little bit more of a responsibility on the listeners, you know, because at the end of the day, like you can scream, oh, you know, state of music is shit, state of music is shit, but what do the majority of people listen to? You know, shit. And so it's like you can scream all you want, but if at the end of the day, music is a business, you know, and there are people in this business that don't really care about the music aspect, but they care about the business aspect enough to be able to marginalize and make money off of, you know, the business. But it does put more responsibility on the listener in that aspect for that, you know.
Well, since we talking about marginalizing artists and shit like that, do you feel like lyricism is a dying art?
I feel like lyricism nowadays, and like if you want to bring up like certain genres, like hip hop was always important, you know, and like hip hop is not as predominant nowadays. There's all these different subgenres of hip hop that are like taking over, but hip hop at its core, that was always like a big thing. Mm-hmm. And with other genres like pop, R&B, like it was always like a necessity, but not 100% like what's really important. With everybody that's like makes like anything melodic or like, you know, like just, it's always been melody based. Like melody is always the driving force. Then like lyricism secondary. Yeah. As far as it dying out now, I feel like it still is important to a certain extent, but with all these different subgenres, a lot of them don't necessarily matter with like lyricism, you know. It matters more about the balance, the vibe. People, they could just have fun to it, like they're listening to, like 9 times out of 10 they don't care, you know.
I feel like it's still I feel like it's still like, I feel like people look at lyricism like it's a whole like you gotta sound like Kendrick Lamar type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it could still be like just a well thought out piece.
Yeah.
Or like on how you feeling. You feel me? I feel like that's what it really like what makes it the lyricism like that. Yeah. How much time you put into it. Okay. And what you really trying to say?
Well, I mean, we can't necessarily say how much time niggas putting into it, because I've been in sessions and engineering niggas who spending 6 hours, nigga, and they only getting like half a song done. So it's like,
how the song come on?
If it takes 6 hours to make it, nigga, like that shit was bro. That shit was nah. We not even gonna speak too deep on that, nigga.
Well, then that's where it becomes like. That's where it would be a argument in favor of lyricism dying out, because it's like, you know, people aren't thinking too much about it. You know, they want like a fast what is it called
Like a fast term.
yeah, almost like when you want like
instant gratification.
Yeah, instant gratification, right?
Yeah.
They want that, like basically off of like whatever's going on. And there are people who, not to like discredit those who put in the time and years into songwriting, where they can bust out great lyrical records in an hour less. And I know we've all been in those kind of situations and like seeing that happen. So it goes both ways, but definitely with the subgenres, I feel like lyricism does die out a little bit more because people aren't necessarily tuning into lyrics, but like just tuning into a vibe, you know. But I mean, it was,
So what's the worst session experience y'all had? I mean, we don't gotta get too many details.
I don't know because right. I don't know if we can say too many details because, you know, we've been in some crazy sessions. But, you know, I feel like whenever an artist is too, like, they're too lit and they're not, like, conscious enough, it usually goes south, you know. It's very rare in that instance where, like, the session will go really well. Because at the end of the day, like, you may think that's, like, the state of mind that you need to be in to, like, perform your best work. But 9 times out of 10, it becomes an obstacle for you to overcome to even actually get through a record, you know? And also 9 times out of 10, your favorite artists that you hear like rapping about doing drugs aren't doing drugs. You know, like it's just an agenda that's being pushed, and like people don't want to believe it. Like even with Future, he wasn't popping perkies. You feel me? You got like all these other like. All these times he's like referencing certain drug related like things, and he's not doing these shits. Like, you know, they're doing what they think you would like to hear on the record, you know, rather than like being super, like we said, lyrical before, bro.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like how does one relate to fans in a culture where everybody's faking everything? You feel me? When niggas is doing so much of the fake it to make it, well, how do you stay true to yourself as an artist compared to saying what people want to hear? You feel me? Because that's what people are pushing. That's what the grand majority is putting in perspective, right?
Right.
You gotta do the difficult thing. You gotta be yourself, but like to the max. Like that shit get exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When it comes to music, I'm not a fan of if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Okay.
Because usually by the time it breaks, musically speaking, it's
Yeah.
done. There's no fixing it.
Yeah.
You could polish yourself and be like that. Whatever you want to cross over, try some other shit.
Right.
They're just gonna be hyped to see what you gotta do. Because you already shown us like what you could do with you.
I feel like the other side of it too would be like find the medium between like saying what you want to say 100% and kind of like generalizing those thoughts. I feel like when like it's hard when you're like being super specific about something, when you can like kind of like generalize it a little bit here and there, and it'll have more opportunity for people to relate to like whatever is like being said or what's going on, you know, because I feel like there are certain instances where like certain artists get a little too personal and it becomes about one thing, you know, and there may or may not be a huge audience for that one thing, you know, but if you can have a topic and tie in all these like different like subtopics to it where it becomes a little bit more generalized, it allows for a bigger audience in a sense. So yeah, and that also goes with like simplifying things, you know, everybody says, don't overcomplicate things, don't overcomplicate. It's because simpler does reach a bigger audience, because when it comes down to it, now it's super relatable. Now there's so many different categories of where this could fit in, and so many different type of situations can be relatable to this one thing. And that is where I feel like would be a key place to be if you want to be relatable, but also express yourself. Just dumb down the idea. You know, bring it down, simplify it, make it so that it could be specific enough that we understand what's going on, but simplified so that it could reach a more general audience.
That was some sauce right there. That just reminded me of a favorite shirt.
Oh yeah, right. That is a good example of that.
Well, doubling back, nigga, what's your worst session?
Worst session.
Oh right.
I got two. The first one was just regular, like I hate like linking up with an artist that's tough.
Yeah.
And like you're trying to work on something and they just not really into it. And then it kind of just throws off your vibe. Just doesn't let you clean up the session.
But is it more along the lines of like, what are you doing production wise, or they just not fucking with the vibe in general?
Nah, it was more so on some like, alright, so we got this beat fire. Let's make a track. Alright, let's do it. We got anything. Next thing you know, niggas just on the phone, just like, damn, I'm not looking forward to this. But that's like on the lighter side. The other time was when it was just a bunch of drum niggas in the studio. I had to go in the smoke room, I can't lie. Niggas was dragging it.
No, that's how they be. The groupie shit is always like the worst. Cause then you got so many, especially as an engineer, you gotta like look around, make sure nobody's messing up the studio, everything's intact, they're not making too big of a mess, controlling the noise.
With each other. I was like, bro, together. Take my laptop somewhere safe.
Yeah, and that also be like tying into what I was saying earlier too, with like, you know, the whole being under the influence and not being in the right state of mind. All I'll say is about my worst studio experiences, you know, I was in the studio and like somebody wasn't in the right state of mind, you know, and they're in the booth, and 3 seconds later they collapse and they then like fall through, break the door of the booth. Now the door handle with the booth is now broken. The mic falls with the mic stand because he passes out with the headset on, and the headset is wrapped around the mic stand. So he timbers over, and then literally the whole mic stand falls through, and the door just breaks, and he's laid on the floor, and he like almost basically like had a seizure, like almost he had to like call like 311 and had to get the ambulance there, like immediately. And it was so crazy, and like, you know, he's a good friend of mine, and like he got out of that issue, but that was very early on in our friendship. And it was something we were all there for him for, but still, like, I use that story to tell the artists that, you know, like, I understand you want to be under the influence, but you want to be at least stable enough where you're, like, in the state of mind where you can control yourself, take care of yourself, and that, like, you don't put yourself in danger. Because that's always the worst thing that happens in a session. That's number one worst case scenario, you know, other than anything burning down, you know.
I've never seen anything like that happen in the studio, like, ever. That's insane. I'm happy that they're doing better though.
No, yeah, he did. That was a wake-up call for him, and, you know, I was really happy for that, because he was able to get out of that, clean himself up, like, going into better things, but we were young at the time. We were basically, I think we were like 19 or something, like, we were all just starting out. This is when I was first learning engineering, my first studio, and he was first trying to be an artist, moving out of like the state where he was from. We were all in Cali at the time, but yeah, you know, we were young, people make mistakes, but I know there's still young people out there and they may make that same mistake. So I always try to like pass that message on, like, you know, at least be in the state of mind enough so you can take care of yourself.
I feel like the younger they get, the more it's pushed on them too.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, niggas got perks, running out with baby bottles. Zans,
and that was the problem at the time too, because going back to what we were saying earlier with the Future thing, you know, when all these rappers are rapping about these drugs and like they're not necessarily doing it, it's the younger generation that really believes it. And when they want to become artists, they feel like, nah, I gotta take 10 Zans, pop a perky, drink a half a bottle, and now I'm lit. Like, now I'm ready. Like, come on, like, that's overdoing it. You know, you're just putting yourself in danger. Obviously, that's a bad mix too, man.
After all that, then you drinking alcohol.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, you out, bro.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much.
Might as well huff pink.
Yeah.
And pull out a vape.
That shit battery ass, bro. Nigga, like, yo, bro, I can't stand this, bro. Like, I'll let people do what they do, but me personally, I can't do the whole vape shit.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as my worst session, I got 2. The first one was it wasn't directed at me, but it was still like a terrible situation to be in. I'm recording and I'm engineering this cat, and the nigga's in the booth smoking with his 2-year-old son on his lap. But like smoking in son's face, niggas pouring up.
What? That's crazy. That is wild.
You got his people in the studio or whatever, they let shit rock. You feel me? Like wild shit. You feel me? So it's like we get put in these situations where it's just like, I'm not gonna lie, I had to cancel the session because I just wasn't feeling that.
Yeah.
But we get put in these situations where it's just like, do niggas let it rock for a honest bag? Do they just, you feel me? Do you cancel the session? Because not every engineer is going to stand on 10 and be like, nah, I'm not fucking with that. Certain niggas are going to sit there and just take
do their job,
because they want a placement, because they want to get close to somebody, because they feel like the nigga lit.
Or just for the quick breath.
Right. You know what I mean?
You know, it could be anything.
Please hit the talk button like, bro, take the baby out, bro.
Right.
Wild shit, like, you feel me? I was just like, bro, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna have to get you another engineer, you feel me? And I acted like it was another session coming in, there's some wild shit going on. Like, I was like, yo, bro, I double booked, yeah, man, I'm out. My second worst session, niggas backed out a gun because I didn't want to mix their song.
See, I hate like when people are like delusional, like uneducated.
I mean, so it's like, that's another thing. Like what is it that makes people feel like entitled to? Well, certain extent, but yeah, you feel me? But yeah, that shit was wild. But what makes niggas feel so entitled to talk to their engineers a certain way? Or the production people inside, because the production people in the industry are very much like disrespected for real.
Yeah.
And majority of the times, like producers, engineers, videographers are the foundation of what makes an artist what an artist is. Type shit.
It's the problem with it, especially nowadays, is like there's so many. It's so. Well, with certain engineers, right? You know, you have those special kind of engineers that are like a little bit irreplaceable. They have their own like secret sauce, technique, whatever. They have that kind of tailor to them. But from a generic aspect of it, if you just need like recording done, it's very easy to replace. You know, like you won't do it, the next person will. And recording, like you could say the argument about recording engineering and like what kind of like entails in the job. But really, like, down to it, people should need somebody to press record and, you know, push them in. At the end of the day, they can get somebody to mix it. They can get somebody to do all that extra stuff that, like, a lot of great recording engineers do in a recording session. Just a guy to get a bass, like, sound of what's going on. You know, they have accessibility. The mixing engineers are going to do the same thing. So when it comes to the disrespect aspect that artists have towards, like, especially mainly recording engineers, is the fact that, like, you know, they work for hire and there's just so many of them, you know, that it's like, if not here, somewhere else. And like as a recording engineer, like starting off, that was a really hard thing to like kind of like swallow, because at the end of the day, you could be in the session and like certain people could like, you know, badmouth you or whatever. Like I've never gotten like disrespected like 100%. Like let's get that out the way, but a lot of people will have, you know, but like a lot of people will have like attitudes and they're coming with bad moods and stuff, you know. And I feel like I've always felt like it was my job to bring in the good energy and have some sort of direction and like kind of, some artists may want the help or not, but like, you know, kind of feel them out if they do or they don't. But that comes into that entitlement, because at the end of the day, as a recording engineer, you are work for hire. So whoever's footing the bill is really the boss in that certain situation. But you do have your integrity, you know, that doesn't go fully out the window. You don't have to sit there and get fully disrespected. You know, like you don't want to waste your time doing that. And at the end of the day, it won't be worth it at the end. You know, it would be much more beneficial for you to build a foundation of a like circle of artists that do respect you, that do regularly book you, that for you to be risking, you know, like yourself or like sacrificing your time to be disrespected, you know, at the end of the day. Like that's just one session out of thousands, millions, you know.
Yeah, I don't feel like somebody should want your sauce so bad that they kill you for it though. Like,
Oh no.
Yo, you ever seen the meme of SpongeBob where he's like, put the money in the bag?
Put the mixes in the bag. And then that's also too, most artists are like, especially starting artists, are uneducated about the process of recording and mixing. So, I mean, with your situation, I completely understand. Like, that's a really hard position to be
Hey,
put
that's
in.
insane. I'm not gonna
yeah, I definitely ain't mixed that song. Like that's what was quiet. Like, I was like, bro, I'm not gonna lie, yeah, it's been. It is what it is.
Right.
Especially, I'm just like, yo, I'm not gonna lie, respectfully, you're not about to sit here and boom me on camera because the studio I was in is like, is recording at all times. So it's like, the owner don't be on that. He a civilian type nigga. You feel me? So it's like, I get boomed. This is the owner snitching. Like,
Right.
there was no way I was getting touched and the owner was not snitching. Like, he was sending them shit, the video out to the cops. You feel me? All that other shit. But yeah, bro, like I feel like the studio at the very least should be some type of safe haven for artists, like without all the dumb shit. You feel me? Like, yeah, people could be themselves, but you should still, at the very least, it should be a room of respect. You know what I mean?
Nah, yeah, for sure.
You don't get anything done well, like with that negative energy, especially in the music environment.
Right.
I can understand like where people feel like they need to like be rowdy and stuff in the real world and like, you know, to get where they feel like they need to get.
Mm-hmm.
But 9 times out of 10 that really does not fly in the studio, you know, because you want that good, positive environment to be able to create at like your free will and not feel all those like bad energies. And especially with the other people involved, like with the engineers, producers. You have a bad environment, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna reflect in the music. So why even do that to yourself? Because at the end of the day, it's really falling back on the artist. You know, we could go and work with somebody else, and we won't have that same problem. And whatever happened in the problematic situation is always just gonna fall back on the artist. You know.
Artists, respect your engineers, respect your cameramen.
Yes.
And all that other shit. Yeah, I think that might be calling on time this time. Yeah, this was a good one, I'm not gonna lie.
Right. No, it was really fun to be here. Okay.
A lot of gingers.
Yeah, you feel me? Hopefully, you know, next episode, you feel me, we gonna go with some other shit. We gonna go with streaming wars, people, how do people stay in competition with this whole new streaming craze that everybody's doing?
Right, the demand for that is been,
Yeah, you feel me? So we're gonna go over that next episode, you feel me? This is obviously something that we're gonna be doing on more of a regular basis. But yeah, with this boy Shizzy Bando, Yo Juan, Jesus, here on Hustlers Haven. Thank you to our sponsors. Make sure y'all get y'all Fantasy World hats. Make sure you get your Fantasy World hats from my son / Ami Streetwear Hogan brand based in NYC. Trucker hats, sweatsuits supposedly supposed to be coming soon and stuff like that. But hopefully we can get my son Ami on the next
nice to talk about that brand. Yeah, that'll be dope.
If you don't see my son Ami on the next episode, make sure y'all still tap in the Fantasy World. You feel me? Wherever y'all at. We're gonna drop the link in the description. But yeah, be here on Hustlers Haven TV, my fault, where indie meets industry. It's your boy Shizzy Bando, and we out here.
God.
So.